In a previous video, we saw how some consonants are voiced, that is, pronounced with vibration of the vocal cords, and others are voiceless or unvoiced, pronounced with no vibration of the vocal cords. We also saw how in Russian, at the end of a word, most voiced consonants are devoiced, that is, they sound like their voiceless counterparts, even though the spelling doesn't change. And there's another common situation when we'll hear this devoicing of a voiced consonant. First, let's consider what happens when two or more consonants come together in a cluster. It's fine to have two voiceless consonants together,
утка, стол,
and it's no problem to have two voiced consonants together.
тогда, здесь,
But Russian does not like to have voiced and voiceless consonants right next to each other. When you see a voiced consonant followed by a voiceless one in spelling, the voiceless character of the second will carry back to the first, causing it to devoice. So now that originally voiced consonant will sound like its voiceless counterpart, even though the spelling usually won't show this. Listen for how the voiceless k in this word makes the voiced b sound like p.
юбка, юбка,
Unlike in English, vodka, in Russian the letter d in this word is pronounced as if it were a voiceless t.
водка, водка,
In the same way, the voiced zh devoices to sound like sh.
ложка, ложка,
And what about this word? How do you think the first letter will be pronounced?
всё, всё,
Did you hear that? The voiced v devoices to sound like a voiceless f.
всё,
We call this assimilation because the first sound is becoming more similar to the second. Sometimes this devoicing can even jump back across word boundaries, especially since prepositions are normally pronounced as if they were the beginning of the following word. Pay special attention to the pronunciation of v, meaning in or into, in these phrases.
в Сочи, в Сочи, в Томске, в Томске,
If the next word begins with a voiceless consonant, be sure to pronounce the v as its voiceless counterpart, f. But if the next word begins with a voiced consonant or a vowel, then the v will stay voiced.
в Москве, в Москве, в Омске, в Омске,
Some of these consonant clusters can be challenging for native speakers of English, and a common mistake here is to always pronounce the preposition v as voiced and then to put a little vowel sound before the next word, something like Vysochi. Be sure to avoid this tendency. Let's listen again to how the native speaker pronounces just a short f that leads directly into the next word.
в Сочи, в Сочи,
And notice how it's always the following consonant that affects the consonant that precedes it. It's always going backwards. This is also true when a voiced consonant comes after a voiceless one. The voiced quality of the second consonant changes the preceding one to voiced. In this word, listen for how the letter s sounds like a voiced z because it's followed by the voiced d.
сделать, сделать,
And here the voiceless t of the word vot becomes voiced when followed by d, so we hear what sounds like a long d sound.
вот дочь, вот дочь,
As we saw before, though, there are four consonants that don't get involved in this voicing and devoicing business. L, M, N, and R don't generally become devoiced. Listen for how the L stays voiced even before the voiceless k,
полка, полка,
and how M is voiced even before the voiceless s.
Томск, Томск,
And these same four letters do not cause a preceding consonant to become voiced. You can hear how the s remains voiceless even before the voiced N and R.
опасно, опасно, срывать, срывать,
And we should add one more exception, the letter V. Even though it does become devoiced at the end of a word,
столов,
it does not cause a preceding voiceless consonant to become voiced. So in this word, the s remains voiceless even though it's followed by the voiced V.
связь, связь,
Summing up, regardless of the spelling, most Russian consonant clusters are pronounced as only voiced or only voiceless consonants together. When you see a combination of voiced and voiceless consonants in spelling, the character of the last consonant sound in the cluster influences the preceding consonants. L, M, N, R, though, are always voiced, and they don't cause voicing of another preceding consonant. And there's one last exception. V does not cause voicing of a preceding consonant.